All right, welcome back. We're going to finish our last segment with NOAA's Brett Alger, and the students want to know, has your job taken you anywhere outside of the States? Because a lot of our students, are looking to travel and go to different venues. Has your job or career taken you anywhere outside of the United States?
Well, it hasn't taken me outside of the United States yet, but I would say that when I worked in the Great Lakes region for the Fish and Wildlife Service, it's a federal agency. They're all over the country. There's certainly opportunities. When I was at that job, I worked in Wisconsin, in Canada, in Ohio, in Indiana, and Michigan. I got to travel quite a bit. And then currently with my position, again, it's a federal agency. We have regions throughout the country, different field offices. And we're headquartered in Washington, D.C., right near the Congress building. So I've been down to Washington, D.C. from where I live up near Boston. I've been to Pittsburgh. I've been to San Francisco. I've gotten to travel, a little bit for the job, and I'll probably have future opportunities. Certainly there's conferences and training and stuff like that throughout the country. So, you get to move around a little bit and travel around. There's opportunities to go live in those different parts as well. If I decided, I'm kind of getting tired of New England, maybe I'll try Alaska, maybe I'll try the Pacific Islands, maybe we have a Caribbean region. So there's opportunities to move around.
Very cool. Well, it sounds like that's one of those better things about your job is that transientness of it. What do you find most satisfying about your career job overall?
Well, certainly you guys have probably learned quite a bit about what's going on in the ocean and the world's fisheries and all the different things in the Great Lakes. There's a lot of problems, right? And we try and find solutions to them. So it's really satisfying when you're kind of given a challenge, you're given a problem, a fisherman comes to you with a question, and you're able to solve it. Additionally, like I was saying, we kind of monitor the annual catch limits, throughout the entire year. So we make decisions within a season to lower trip limits or allow different gear types or prevent gear types. So it's kind of satisfying to see a problem right then in a meeting, and you see the data up on the screen in the graph, and you make a decision that then changes that fishery, and you get a solution out of it right away usually. So it's kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah. Some of our students, being in APES or AP Environmental Science, they want to go into a kind of a similar career field. What advice would you give someone interested in going into a similar career field such as yours?
Well, I think in general, it's important to treat every job that you have or have ever had as the most important one at that time, right? So if you don't do the job you have well, you're not going to get the job that you want. So, for me, I worked in restaurants. I delivered flowers. I worked for a cleaning company. I bagged groceries. I've done a number of, lower level jobs that maybe some of your students have, done, scooping ice cream or doing whatever it is. And it's important that even at that time, even at that level, while you're still in high school or you're still in college, to do those jobs well. Because you still are going to have people you work with that you maybe don't get along with, or you got a boss that you don't like. But you still got to, work on your communication skills. You got to work hard. You got to show up on time. All those little things that seem really trivial, really small at the time, they apply right up to the top of the food chain in a job maybe like I have. You still got to communicate with your supervisor and your coworkers. You still got to communicate with the public. You got to make decisions. You got to show up on time. You got to do all the things kind of the right way. And so I would say, first off, treat the job you have well. Even if it's $6 an hour or $7 an hour, it's still a job. Do it well because it's going to help you get the next one. I would say career-wise, as I mentioned before, there's a number of different paths and roads or whatnot to get to where I'm at. And it's probably the same as for other people. So, you could go to a school in the middle of the Midwest like I did, and you'd still end up out here in marine fisheries in New England. People I work with went into law enforcement, and they're managing fisheries. People went into protecting whales or protecting seals or dolphins. They're working for the National Marine Fisheries Service. There's people that are into protecting habitat, and shoreline and birds and stuff like that. They're working for the National Marine Fisheries Service. So there's a bunch of different ways to get to where I'm at. And certainly, you got to probably start from scratch, at a college somewhere where you're taking general courses and, you're taking some math and some psychology and some history and whatnot. But, certainly it helps to have a good science and biology background, understanding the basic principles of how ecosystems work and statistics, and then certainly, things kind of shape you, and you learn about birds or fish or mammals, and you kind of you move along in the process, and then you start to take more specific courses, maybe into the physiology of animals or more specific ecosystems. And but I would say first and foremost, do the job you have, do it well. That'll help you get the one you want.
Do you think maybe internships and volunteering opportunities kind of got you in the door at places, and that's a good idea as well?
Exactly, yeah. So when I was at Central Michigan, I was in a fisheries club, but you try and take advantage of small volunteer opportunities. Maybe as an undergraduate, you're helping out a graduate student work on a project, whether it's throwing on some waders and sampling some water for some microorganism, or maybe it's going through a big bag of sediment and looking for snails or something. Things that you would maybe consider to be less desirable and not that much fun, but it's showing an interest. It's showing that you apply yourself to whatever it is that you're working on. Take advantage of working for like a fisheries club, or I don't know, like the Audubon Society, or various clubs and things that are active, that have a name, that have a logo, that you can put on your resume and say, hey, I helped out at this river cleanup. I helped out at this watershed restoration. I went and worked with this fourth grade school group and taught them about how tides work. Those things kind of seem small, but they add up, and it's really important to have.
So it sounds like you've been in a number of different places in your career. You've had a pretty good career so far in fisheries. Is there anything you're looking forward to working on in the future, or what future career goals have you set for yourself?
Well, eventually I'd like to be somebody that's writing more policy. Right now, I'm kind of taking the orders from people above me, making very, very small decisions, doing a little bit of policy thing, but I'd like to get up to kind of the next level where I'm making decisions and policy calls on fishing, and so right now I'm working on ground fish in the Northeast. Maybe eventually I'd like to go out to Alaska and work on like crab, or maybe go down to the Southeast where they do a lot of recreational fishing and make basically what I'm doing now, but just in another fishery, but even up another level, make more policy calls. And right now I'm a little bit more of a grunt worker, I would say.
All right, well, one last question for Brad. This is more of a kind of an interpersonal type question.
Okay.
One of our students wanted to know, do you personally think that fish have a soul or can feel things?
Wow, so fish, I know that they don't have eyelids, so I know they don't sleep. But fish having a soul, I mean, there's definitely been studies that look at the physiology of fish and how they react to being hooked or being caught. And they certainly show a response to pain, pain thresholds and whatnot. But having a soul, that's a very good question. I'm sure, every little fish, when he or she is born into the ocean, they have aspirations too, and maybe for some of them it's to migrate down to the south and live in the warmer waters, or maybe it's to have a family of their own in some habitat space in the bottom of the ocean of their own. But in terms of a soul, I don't know. That's a good question. I guess as somebody from an older generation talking to a younger generation, I think it's an important question, and certainly I would look to you guys to find that out for me.
So it sounds like you stumped him on this one, but I would just like to take this opportunity to thank my good friend Brett Alger for taking this time out of his busy schedule to do this interview. And would y'all give him a round of applause, please?